Somebody else okay, fine.
Mbona msiweke sheria ambayo itasema kwamba hizi fedha tuziweke kwenye kikapu kimoja na ziendee shule?
Nilitaka kukujibu ndugu yangu kwa sababu huo mswada ambao umeuliza uko katika bunge la Seneti, umeletwa na mmoja wetu ambaye anaitwa Senator Thangwa, ana propose ya kwamba fedha zote zile ziko katika county, zile ziko katika CDF, zile ziko katika national government, pia treasury, na pia katika zile ministry ya education, zote zike katika kikapu kimoja na masomo yote yawe bure. Ni mswada ambao unaendelea. Kwa hivyo tunazidi kuukagua. Ukitoka bunge la Seneti utakuja katika National Assembly, na hapo tutaweza kupata majibu. Kwa hivyo mswada upo na unaendelea.
Lakini kuna wasiwasi kwamba tuna kikao ambacho kinawahusu nyie kuzungumzia swala hili nzima la kuwepo kwa nyinyi kutumia zile basari kuzipeleka katika shule na vile vile kusema kule nyanjani, kwamba mnajitokeza kwa asilimia kubwa sana. Anasema flow inajaa. Yaani unajitetea kwamba wasalie na hizi fedha zisalie katika.
Unajua ndugu yangu, hayo ni maoni yako, kwa sababu wasiwasi wewe ambao wewe wauona ni wako, ni wewe waona huo wasiwasi. Sisi hatuna wasiwasi. Sisi tutakuwa tunafanya kazi yetu. Either tukuje wote kwa pamoja ama tukue na zile namba ambazo zinahitajika. La muhimu ni kwamba tumefanya kazi vile ipasavyo. Kwa hivyo usiwe na wasiwasi, tutatekeleza ile inahitajika wakati ambapo utaweza kufika. Wacha nimwache ndugu yangu amalizie. Nimeeleza ni maono yaliyopo sasa. Tunazidi kuyakagua. Yape muda. Ikitoka katika bunge la Seneti yatakuja pande mwingine na wataona ni ipi ambayo inayofaa. Na sio jambo mbaya. Lengo letu, katiba inasema katika kitengo cha 53 ya kwamba kila mwanafunzi, kila mtoto anahitaji masomo bora. Na lengo letu leo hapa kama wabunge wa Nairobi ni kusupport mswada ya kwamba masomo yawe free.
Me, I would have asked that question with a question. That you members of the Fourth Estate, is there any of you from low income community who never got bursary from the constituency? Nani yako na mwanafunzi kutoka Kibra constituency hapa? I wanted to prove that as a member of parliament of Kibra constituency, the CDF of Kibra has given over 65 million bursary to the Kenyan students. And sometimes the parents find it easier to reach the CDF offices than other offices. So this is a debate that is there and will be brought to for public participation for the Kenyans to really debate whether this bursary can still be in the CDF or it can be a collective. We have a collective account for this, either as the ministry or as the national government. So I think we need to hold on to that and wait for this conversation for the Kenyans to decide really whether is it still important for us to have the bursary or it should be put in one place or one basket.
Okay, I will allow Madam Elachi to speak, and remember our presser is on the question of the school capitation, which was a recent issue. So let us not try to change the tone of our discussion to something else. We will have ample time to discuss CDF, whether it should be there, whether we should merge these other things. Today we are on school capitation.
Yes, and I just want to talk on school capitation. I don't want to enter into the matter of bursaries. If you find in your place you don't have bursary, kindly go back to your leaders and talk to them. So don't bulk Kenyans on how each deals with that thing. It's a very interesting topic. But I just want to go back to capitation. The issue of capitation, the thing we are saying, and I know it is a very sensitive thing, is that for us in Nairobi, remember we have children also who are in ABET schools. And so even when government does all this, which I agree they'll have to do in their public schools, but we have to ask ourselves, who is this child? This Kenyan child who is in Nairobi, who is in an Abed school because maybe is unable to join a public school with many reasons. How do we deal with that? And for us, we are also beneficiaries of the same, of building more classrooms so that we can see our government giving us this capitation. Because I'll tell you, you find in some schools, and that's why we are saying, before we talk about even you taking bursary from NCGDF, can we know how many children we are talking about in Kenya? And each of them must have a number. Each child deserves that number. Because even me in my own school in Kawangware, I have Gatina, they have 3,600 children. The capitation that comes, children with are only 187. And you wonder, so the 2,000? That's why we are telling the ministry, before you tell us anything about the 16, can we just have this capitation first going with data that we have 3 million children? Therefore, when you bring in your budget into Parliament, you are able to say 3 million, give a capitation of 22,000. How much is that is needed to go to schools across the country to make it sure every child is able to get the shares that others are getting, others don't get. That's what we are saying. And the other thing is that even as much as we are talking about it, first we want to say Waziri was well put to give us the honesty of what we have been doing. And I agree with my colleagues, Parliament also must start questioning. And in the next supplementary, can we do it right? I think that should be the best. Because we cannot always just come and we do these debates, but we have no solutions. The solution should be Parliament in a supplementary. Can we put the remaining amounts that were supposed to go to school, period. But also the principals. Because today, there's a principal who has survived in that situation. She has no debt, she's building, she's doing. Kwani yeye ni tofauti na yule mwingine? So, go back to the same reflection of Kenyans. What I ask myself, I should be asking myself, am I doing the right thing also? Or we just ask each other questions. Yet, wewe, ukipata nafasi ya giza hivi, utafanya yale mwenzako tu anafanya mabaya. So, Kenyans is us. It is you in the institution that needs to work in that institution to make it work. That will be my cranial call.
All right, thank you so much. There are copies of the statement, signed copies there, and extra copies. Calendar. You can issue those to Asanteni sana.
That these numbers are at variance with the capitation that is disbursed to schools. Because when we put this question to the CS, he told us that the NEMIS now, I think, has not been able to capture all the data. And that is why now they are moving to CHEMIS, where they are able, I think it is a bigger platform than the NEMIS. And if this happens, we need an assurance that the data for all the school-going children and students in this country will be captured so that we don't have a gap of those who are not in NEMIS, and we still use them to disburse the capitation. So I think this is the problem that we have a big gap in the Ministry of Education where the data does not correspond to the capitation that is disbursed to schools. Now, too, about this 16,000, actually, it is about 16,900. That is the actual when we are doing the calculation. And this disbursement sometimes, even the CS admitted that in the first term, firstly disbursed 30%, then 20%, but within the given framework, the limits of first term. So the disbursement should be done promptly with the right figures and the right numbers and the right amounts so that the schools do not suffer by not receiving all the money that is supposed to be there for capitation. But also one of the reasons that the schools do not get the full capitation is that some of the monies that are meant to be disbursed maybe for infrastructural purposes, some of the monies go to the regional directors, maybe for sporting activities and other activities. So the same money which is supposed to go directly to the school A bit of it also goes to the regional directors and sub-county directors. Now, this makes the amount that reaches the school not to be exactly 16,900. This is also a question that we have raised with the ministry, so that they must find a way that all the money, the amount that is supposed to reach the students, should be able to reach the student. If they have budgetary constraints, then they also need to put budgetary allocation for these other activities and not for the money that is reaching the students.